Canalco would take over the plant in the early 70s and begin dumping thorium slag from commercial work in a 40-acre lot on the plant's property.
We dumped the sludge and slabs in there, and the maintenance foreman stood right there watching us. And we put about 55 barrel drums of sludge and that in there to get rid of it.
Over 100,000 tons of material containing thorium-230 and 232 would be removed from the lot, having sat there for decades.
When we first caught wind that they were cleaning up that dump site, it was after the fact. We saw trucks going up and down the street, but we had no knowledge of what they were cleaning up.
Not in 100 years would I think, okay, radioactive, I need to jump on this. But you would think that no one could be that irresponsible in dealing with people in a community.
It started with just me asking, why are my family members sick? And taking that across the street, asking neighbors, are they experiencing any sickness? Did you think it just stopped at the company's gate?
Calvin would join forces with former plant worker Larry Bergen, and together they would compile a list of illnesses that plagued residents living near the plant. They would find over 70 cases of cancer on Calvin Street alone, and 114 within the surrounding blocks.
If the radiation and the hazardous materials that were a couple of feet away from residential homes, our homes, whether or not this dross material from the smokestacks that plumed and pillowed out over the community have affected my health and others like me in the community.
No one was to take the responsibility to admit what has occurred. And then you move on. You go into another community, you do the same thing. You know, at some point this has to stop. They come in poor, unsuspecting neighborhoods and they do their damage and then they move on. And that's sad. It's very, very sad.
By the mid-90s, a new generation of workers would start at the plant, with little or no knowledge of its history.
I just hired on. I just thought it was a steel factory. I grew up around the area, and they didn't tell me anything about, radiation. Like now you get on the computer and you type in Spectralite and it tells you all about it. But back then, I didn't know nothing about it when I hired on. They didn't tell me either.
In June of 2000, the Army Corps of Engineers would begin decontaminating the inside of the plant.
They usually have a shutdown every summer that they do a cleanup, just to clean the place up while everybody's gone. And I'd never worked one, so this summer I decided to work. And I thought something was funny. They told us to switch locker rooms from our locker room over to the rolling mill locker room, but I didn't think much about it. And then when it was time to come into work, they had everything taped off. People were wearing them suits, and they had the showers, decontamination showers and everything. So when I seen that, I knew something wasn't right. But they had all these ribbons hanging from the ceilings, and guys were up there vacuuming or scraping the rafters. And when I walked in and seen that, I was like, man, right then I said, man, if I ever get sick, I'm gonna think about seeing this, you know what I mean? Because it would just be like if you worked in a place for all 6 years, like if you're a doctor or working in an office and you come in one day and they're just ripping everything where you've been working, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, man, you gotta be kidding me.
Like many of his co-workers before him, Jason would also find himself in a battle with cancer.
They cut a big old chunk out of my tongue, and I did radiation there in Raleigh, 36 treatments in my mouth and neck. I was out for 6 months. Thank God my parents helped me out. And then that April, I got a lump in my neck, and he did a radical neck dissection. I've been good ever since, but like I said, I had to fight it twice so far, so.